We have heard about what happened between the Equatorial Guinea man and over 400 women. I mean, the scandal. And a lot of people have said a lot of different things. I heard some blaming the men. I don't think it's really reasonable. I mean, this is the act of one man and over 400 women. So I don't see any reason somebody will blame the man for his act and blame the husbands of those 400 women for the act of those women. It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, you cannot tell me that all those over 400 women, that their partners are not satisfying them or their partners are not treating them well. It doesn't make sense to me, okay? And if you watch the videos very well, you see that none of them acted like she was forced. They willingly did it with happiness, setting the cameras and even watching the cameras. And this is few minutes pleasure. But you see, the consequences of these things these people did now, it will affect them for years. That is, if the stand can be raised again. Just imagine that their husbands or their partner decide to divorce or separate or break their marriage or relationship because of this. You can imagine what this thing will cost in the country. You can imagine how many homes that will break. You can imagine how many relationships that will break. That is the consequences of few minutes pleasure. Did in the private, in the secret, is being exposed to the world, leading to someone taking her own life, which we don't even know the result it will bring up more. This is why we have to look before we leap. If there's anything you want to do in this life, let it not be with a married person. We cannot be too careful enough, but there are some things you can jump over. Yes. And let this thing not make you as a man or as a woman now start having trust issue because of what happened in other people's life. I mean, these things have been happening before. It's just social media that brought it out down to the public. Right? Yes. So this thing now can affect trust among young and married, single. Yeah. So you just have to be careful not to allow things like this to filter into your mind and affect you, right? Another thing I feel like I want to add here is this. You see these things that happen, none of them happen by accident or mistake. It happened by gradual communication. Yes, I'm talking about married people, people that are committed to someone else, engaging in things like this. This thing didn't start one day and end that day. Even if it start that day and end that day, it's a gradual. It happened from hello, hi, just a gradual process. As a married woman or as a girl in a relationship or as a man married or in a relationship, there are some atmosphere or there are some things you feel in your communication with someone. Your mind will tell you that it's enough to stop at that particular time so that it will not lead to something else. The problem we have is that sometimes we enjoy those lustful things or those things we see ourselves getting into. And we are always deaf ears to our conscience and our instincts. You see these people that involve in this, I tell you the truth, most of them, when they started, it started by communication. And most of them overlooked their instinct and their thoughts until they went into this. Now look at how this thing have brought them to the world. And the stand might not be raised forever again. You can imagine what the families are going through now. Only if you will start listening to your conscience, listening to your mind, listening to your instincts, when that hello or hi is starting, you can jump over it. Your instinct will tell you, as a married person, or you are discussing with a married person, you're supposed to know when to draw the line. You're supposed to know when to say enough. You're supposed to know when to stop so that it will not lead to anything that might bring, oh, had I known. I don't really think I have much to say about this, but then that's the advice I can give. Always know when something is entering into something. Always know when hello or hi is getting out from what is supposed to be to something else. Always know and have in mind that hello can lead to anything. They started from little things that we call nothing into things like this. None of them were forced. If you watch the video, they were doing it willingly, with joy, with happiness, just few minutes pleasure. Look at where it landed them, to someone taking her own life now. But just few minutes pleasure. But these are the things you can abort when you notice something going on. When you notice that that little conversation is entering into something else. You cannot tell me that over 400 women, their partners are not satisfying them or not treating them well. I mean, these are people that have level. They have the money. Look at where they landed. So the advice I have, or what I learned from this, is there are some things we can abort or we can avert, or there are some things we can jump over when they are still small before they will lead to this kind of national or international shame. I don't even know what more to say. I'm just wondering what the families are going through now. If their partners choose to end it, just imagine how many homes that will break and how many relationships that will break. Just you can imagine. Let's learn to stop when we notice it's getting into something else. And then another thing I want to add here is this. Let people start looking into what their partners are doing this time. That place your partner is working. Don't overlook everything totally. No. Always pay attention. Sometimes, most of these movements, you can see it. You can see when your partner is making some kind of move. It can be stopped. I think this is a call for people to start looking into what their partners are doing, where they are working, what they do. It's really something else, honestly. But then, you can jump over things like this. And you can also help your partner by trying to belong or get involved in what they do. Because you cannot be too careful enough. And then involve your partner too. When you notice some advancement from a man or from a girl or anything, you can involve your partner too. It can help you to overcome things like this.